Item Designation: Entity-001, the surplus button. Object Class: Keter. Threat Classification: Severe. Description: Entity-001 is a small, circular, red plastic button affixed to a matching polymer base, unassuming in design but unmistakably anomalous in behavior. Measuring approximately 6 centimeters in diameter and composed of synthetic materials with no detectable origin. The object emits a subtle warmth to the touch, though no internal power source or mechanical infrastructure has ever been identified. Its surface shows no sign of wear, and though superficially simple, it radiates a low-frequency electromagnetic field detected by specialized instruments. When touched, it produces a faint, almost imperceptible hum, inaudible to most, until contact is made directly. The function of Entity-001 is deceptively straightforward. When an individual stands within close proximity and clearly articulates a desire out loud, followed by the act of pressing the button, the stated wish is granted. This effect is limited by a strict monetary threshold. Wishes valued above 50,000 USD are consistently denied or produce unpredictable, often corrupt results. However, within that financial boundary, nearly all material desires are manifest with uncanny precision, from wire transfers to luxury items to restored personal belongings. The granted wishes appear in the real world through either instantaneous arrival or realistic but anomalous convenient logistics, such as appearing in delivery records or systems where they had not existed moments prior. This miracle, however, is not without its cost. With every successful activation of Entity-001, a life is lost, randomly, involuntarily, and without apparent pattern. The death occurs somewhere within a 25-mile radius of the button at the moment of activation, targeting a human subject regardless of identity, age, health, or circumstance. Autopsies conducted on known victims consistently report natural or accidental causes, cardiac arrest, aneurysms, blunt trauma from falling objects, or other seemingly unconnected incidents. Yet the timing is always exact. One wish, one death. The correlation is undeniable. Discovered in a sealed attic of an abandoned home outside Redacted, Florida, Entity-001 was found sitting undisturbed on a scratched wooden table. Beside it lay a curled and desecrated corpse, a pistol gripped loosely in its left hand, and a faded note scorched at the edges. The note's contents were partly legible and implied an understanding of the button's function. Every push of the button, another life gone. But maybe, just maybe, I can make it right. This sentiment was later echoed in a study of Entity-001 Beta, Equilibrium Arm. Equilibrium Arm was the pistol found at the scene, which has since been proven to be just as anomalous as the button itself. Alongside the button lies Entity-001 Alpha, a small 3x5-inch note card with text written in a flowing black ink that reads, "Press and speak. Your wish shall be granted, but a life will be taken in return," with the card being impervious to destruction. Whether shredded, burned, dissolved, or cut, it resists every attempt and reverts back to its pristine form within seconds. Efforts to redact or obscure the text are futile. The ink seeps back through the paper or paint as though burned into the material itself. If removed from the vicinity of Entity-001, the card will vanish entirely and reappear on the button's base within 60 seconds. It's not simply a warning, it's a permanent companion to the object, serving both as an instruction manual and a grim declaration of cost. Then there is Entity-001 Beta, the matte black handgun discovered during the initial recovery. Lacking any identifying marks, no magazine, and no mechanical anomalies beyond its loaded chamber, the pistol is inert in anyone's hand who has not used the button. It will not fire, jam, or react to attempts to manipulate it under ordinary circumstances. But for those who have pressed the button, especially more than once, the weapon changes. If such a user takes hold of Entity-001 Beta, expresses the intention to end their life as atonement or sacrifice, and pulls the trigger, the weapon will discharge a single round into the user with fatal precision. Following this act of self-sacrifice, a secondary phenomenon occurs. Each individual previously killed as the result of the user's wishes will return to life within 24 hours. Though revivals are precise and complete, often with no memory of death, and with full bodies restored to their prior state at the moment of passing. Only the user's self-inflicted death, committed in conscious awareness of the trade, can activate this resurrection protocol. Entity-001, in its entirety, presents itself as an ethical paradox. It offers immediate gratification at a price that is both hidden and monstrous. It preys not on desire alone, but on the human willingness to rationalize loss when it remains unseen. The button does not ask if the user is worthy, nor does it judge the merit of the wish. It simply delivers and subtracts. Repeated use has been shown to lead to marked psychological deterioration. Subjects often begin to suffer hallucinations, guilt-induced insomnia, paranoia, and in rare cases, delusions, involving unseen entities or hearing voices of the dead. A growing compulsion to keep pushing, just one more time, becomes common among repeat users. Those who eventually choose to use the gun do so with near religious solemnity, believing they are balancing the scales or putting the world right. And yet, in all cases observed to date, another subject inevitably steps forward, drawn by curiosity, desperation, or greed, and places their hand on the button once more. Incident Log. Upon arrival at 1440 CST, Omega-2 secured the perimeter. Civilian first responders had not yet breached the residence, but reported 2 unresponsive children through the rear window, with no signs of forced entry. A surveillance drone confirmed a faint magnetic field ripple in the home center, matching prior known activation patterns of Entity-001. The team breached the property at 1446. The home interior was in a disarray. Open snack bags, half-eaten candies, and soda cans rolling across the floor. Near the living room center was Entity-001, resting on a coffee table. Entity-001 Alpha, the indestructible note card, lie nearby. 2 male juveniles, ages estimated between 10 and 13, were located deceased within the same room. One had collapsed on the couch, while the other one was found prone on the floor, his fingers still outstretched towards the button. No physical trauma present. Autopsy later ruled the cause of death as sudden cerebral hemorrhage and cardiac arrest, respectively, both anomalous with no pre-existing medical conditions. The third boy, later identified as Subject 045A, was discovered on the second floor, sobbing uncontrollably and holding several snacks and a game controller. His clothes were stained with soda, and he appeared disoriented. He repeatedly mumbled, "We just wanted more stuff. They said they would give us anything. I didn't think they would die." Thermal imaging and fingerprint residue later confirmed this boy had touched Entity-001 multiple times, and had issued verbal requests consisting in the nature of the materials found throughout the home. As Agent Choi began de-escalation protocols with the boy, a metallic sound was detected above, muffled but rhythmic. Attic access was discovered in the hallway ceiling, already partially unfolded. At 1450, Agents Medina and Choi ascended the attic and discovered Subject 045 kneeling on the far end of the space, Entity-001 Beta pressed to his chest. He was crying audibly, shaking, and repeating, "I can fix it. I can fix what I did. I killed them. I killed my friends. They didn't even want more stuff. It was me. I pushed it." The pistol, previously inert in containment, was fully armed, trigger-responsive, and emitting a light energy response consisting with prior near-activation events. The subject hand was on the trigger. Before he could act, Agent Medina issued verbal intervention cues while Choi shifted behind the boy. At the moment the boy turned his head to respond, Choi lunged forward and successfully disarmed the subject. The round was not fired. Entity-001 Beta was immediately recontained. Subject 045A collapsed, weeping and repeating, "They were just playing, and now they're gone." Containment procedures. Entity-001 and its associated components 001 Alpha and 001 Beta are to be stored within Secure Vault 3, Sublevel Gamma, at Site-09. Vault 3 is a triply sealed anomaly chamber equipped with the following specifications: 24-inch thick, electromagnetically shielded steel walls, Dual pressure airlock system with full biometric lockdown. Electromagnetic pulse nullifier, EPN3, calibrated to Entity-001's baseline hum frequency, 0.42 Hz. Continuous thermal, auditory, and EM signature monitoring via independent circuits. Internal environmental stability set to 20 degrees Celsius at 30% humidity. Vault is to remain sealed at all times, unless authorized by 2 Level 4 personnel for sanction testing or ethics review. Entity-001, the button, is to be fixed to a titanium isolation pedestal bolted to the chamber of the floor. The pedestal is designed to rotate to accommodate remote operating robotics, but will lock in place if manipulated by unauthorized means. Entity-001 Alpha, the instruction card, is to be displayed beside Entity-001 under a sealed laminated glass dome with zero tint coating. The dome is for visibility purposes only. Destruction or tampering with the card has proven to be ineffective. Entity-001 Beta, the handgun, is stored in a biometric secured transport polymer case mounted 1.5 meters above the platform. The case may only be unlocked through simultaneous handprint and retinal scan authorized by no fewer than 2 Level 4 operatives. At no time are Entity-001 and Entity-001B to be removed from the chamber simultaneously, unless part of a scheduled containment rotation or confirmed emergency override. Testing, research, and demonstrations involving Entity-001 require pre-approval scheduling and psychological review of all participating individuals. No person under the age of 18 is permitted within 50 meters of Vault 3 under any circumstances. In the event of an unsanctioned activation, nearby urban centers are to be scanned for a spiked mortality signature. Mobile Investigation Unit S-19 will be deployed to assess and recover the affected area. If death occurs on site and the user confesses guilt or attempts to access Entity-001 Beta, containment teams are to de-escalate using non-lethal force and initiate protocol Abandon 1, Confess Intervention procedure. Should a user gain access to Entity-001B and self-terminate within the parameters of its effect, a reanimation monitoring cycle of 24 hours is to be initiated across all previously logged victims of that user. Resurrection events are to be discreetly intercepted and individuals relocated, memory altered, or reintegrated under cover identities as required. Closing statement. Entity-001 is not physically dangerous on its own, but its accessibility and temptation vector classify it as socially lethal and morally corrosive. Containment efforts must not focus solely on physical barriers, but also on ideological shielding, especially from those who view Entity-001 as an opportunity rather than a curse.